Yo, what is up, Lighthouse teens? Y'all already know who this is. It's your girl, Crystal Alexis, and I'm back for week 2 of Bittersweet, the series. Y'all, look, last week was fun, and I thank y'all for coming back for week 2 with us. The bottom line for this week: cancel the debt, not the person. You know, we live in a cancel culture. Every time somebody does something, every time somebody mess up, every time somebody makes a mistake, even the slightest bit, we want to cancel them. You know, we not watching their movies no more. We're not listening to their music. We're not calling them, if it's a family member. We always want to cancel people. And we gotta stop doing that. We gotta cancel the debt, not the person. Now, we have 2 scriptures today, Romans 5 and 8. And the second one is Colossians 3 and 13. All right. Both from the NIV. Romans 5 and 8 tells us something very, very important about forgiving debt. Because Romans 5 and 8 says that, but God demonstrates his own love for us in this. Okay? While we were still sinners, Christ died for us. He forgave every single one of our sins. Nobody had to ask. Nobody had to beg. Nobody had to do favors for a week. Nobody had to do anything. That's something that he gave to us because he loved us. All right. And then Colossians 3 and 13 says, bear with each other. Forgive one another. If any of you have a grievance against someone, forgive as the Lord forgave you. And that's very important because that's the basis for our lesson today. So last week we started bittersweet, okay? And the whole idea with bittersweet is that sometimes bitter things taste sweet to us. In other words, sometimes it feels good to do bad things. Okay, y'all ever been really hungry? Another example that I'm thinking about as I'm talking. Y'all ever been really, really hungry? And you go, and just because you're hungry, you eat stuff that you normally wouldn't eat anyways, because you're hungry. So anything is gonna taste good to you because you're hungry. But if you just got done eating and you go and look at some of those things, it's like, it doesn't look so appetizing. It's the same idea. Sometimes bitter things taste sweet. Just depends on the situation. All right. So, I know that people do things sometimes that hurts us. All right. People let us down a lot. People disappoint us. People betray us. It happens. I'm sure it's happened to you. If it hasn't, keep on living. It has happened to me time and time again. And if you speak to some of the people in your life, your parents, your mentors, maybe your friends, your counselor, your teacher, your pastor, they've gone through the same thing and had some of the same experiences. So you're no different. Okay. The thing is that we always feel in our human nature, we got to send a message to people. We got to show them. We got to teach them how to treat us, which is true. It's all true. And it's not that it's bad, but when people mistreat us, we feel like we have to prove something to them. We have to show them that it's not okay to mistreat us. We have to do something to let them know that, and a lot of times we don't want to forgive because it may make us feel weak. It may make us feel inadequate. It seems very unfair at times that we always have to be the bigger person. We always have to forgive when they're the ones always doing wrong. Like, it's just not fair. And I agree. I agree, but I also know that there are other perspectives. You ever heard the saying there's 2 sides to every story? Well, that's true. It's more than 2. Your story, his story, her story, and the truth eventually. But it's the same idea. You just have to figure out another way of looking at things. You can have 2 people in the same situation, experiencing the same circumstance, and the story that they tell about it is completely different. That's because we're individuals and we all have a different perspective. So sometimes you have to be willing to Not overlook your perspective, but willing to see the perspective of other people. You know what I'm saying? Willing to see things from their point of view. And so when you get to that point where you're willing to see things from other perspective, you have to we should I say, because I'm speaking to myself, um we have to no longer focus on making a case about, oh well, he did me this way, she did me that way, it was not fair. It's not about fair or unfair. It's not about right or wrong. It's not about just or unjust. It's not about any of that. Because just because somebody does something to you, and you could be in your own right to retaliate, you could have the right to retaliate. But again, remember last week we talked about you have to make the decision to forgive. You have to decide that you're going to do right. Okay? We get so caught up in what people do to us and how what they do makes us feel. But we can't do that. We have to carry the heart of Jesus when it comes to forgiveness. And he showed us the ultimate forgiveness. He showed us the ultimate forgiveness. It's so easy, again, for us to just dismiss people when they wrong us. But something that I learned, that when people hurt you, when people do things to you, when people mistreat you, don't cancel the person. Cancel the offense. So if someone has a debt to you, don't cancel the person, cancel the debt. If someone has hurt you and caused you pain, don't cancel the person, cancel the hurt. You have to change your relationship with that thing. Whatever the situation is, you have to change how you view it. You have to change how you respond to it. You have to change how you treat it. You know what I'm saying? Because if not, that person is going to continue to show up in other people. It's going to change form, but that situation is going to show up continuously in your life until you learn how to overcome that challenge. And I'm telling you, that was one of the best things that I could have learned, because it was happening to me. I was dealing with a certain situation and I thought I was over it. And before you know it, here comes the situation back around again. And I'm like, what is this? Why do I keep dealing with this same thing? It's because I hadn't learned my lesson. And because I hadn't learned my lesson, I couldn't pass the test. So I had to learn that lesson. I had to really, really, excuse me, I had to really, really swallow my pride. I had to put my ego aside, all my little feelings and emotions and stuff I was feeling. I had to put all that to the side, because I just refused to keep going through the same thing over and over and over. I had to learn to forgive people, because what they did to me and what they did to you is very real. I'm not making light of that. I'm not disregarding your feelings or my own. But what I'm saying is, you have to have compassion. You have to have the compassion of Christ. Okay, so what does that look like? Okay, glad you asked. So it looks like when you're on the road driving to school or to work or to the grocery store for your parents, and somebody cuts you off. It looks like compassion looks like not cussing them out, not shooting them a bird, not laying on your horn, not chasing them down in traffic. That's what that looks like. It's compassion. It's forgiving the debt. What that looks like is, if your mom or dad are having maybe they are having a really rough day. And so maybe they have a slight little attitude that maybe they don't normally have. Having compassion looks like, okay, I realize that my parent is having a rough day, so I'm going to do what I can to make their day better. I'm going to do what I can to improve the quality of their day. So, Mom, listen, can I wash the dishes, for you? Is there anything I could do? Can I cook you something? Can I go grab you something to eat? Hey, Pop, you got yard work to do. Can I help you with the yard work today? That's what compassion looks like. Understanding where a person is at that moment, and then kind of just excusing, Just because they didn't act how you expected them to act. Okay, you have to have compassion for that. Just because somebody didn't treat you the way you expected them to treat you, you have to have a certain level of compassion for that. Even when people do things to you, when people wrong you, you have to have a certain level of compassion. Again, don't let nobody mistreat you or abuse you, but have compassion. All right. So two things you can do moving forward to get better with forgiveness and showing compassion, and to just, like I said, have that heart of Jesus as it pertains to forgiveness. The first thing is to identify where you need to show more compassion in your life. Okay. And if you're in school and you have a substitute teacher, and y'all know how we do substitute teachers, I say we because I used to give my substitute teachers a run for their money. Do y'all understand what I'm saying? We knew that they didn't know all the rules for real. They didn't really know what they was doing. They was a little bit timid because they're new and we're all used to everybody. Everybody knows everybody. Me, I used to give my substitute teachers a run for their money. Now, had I had compassion, I would have said, you know what? This teacher is having a really rough time with us kids. Let me just act right and do my work. Let me help her to quiet the class down, because I was always one of those people. I mean, I commanded attention, even if the kids would have listened to me. So I could have very well said, hey, y'all, calm down. Let's give her a break. That's having compassion, because my substitute teachers used to be having a rough time. Okay, so identify where you need to show more compassion in your life. And it might not even be with people that you know. It doesn't have to be somebody that you know. It doesn't have to be your loved one. It doesn't have to be a friend. How about showing compassion to your enemies? Showing compassion to people that don't even like you. That is rough. Okay, but you can do it. You can do it. It's really easy to give somebody back something that they gave you. It's really easy to withdraw from something once you have deposited into something. It's really easy to go to the ATM and take out $100 if you already know you put 1,000 in there. But try going and trying to get something that's not there. Try making a withdrawal from somewhere you didn't deposit. Okay? It's hard. So it's the same thing with trying to do, as they say, love your enemies and show compassion and forgive. Well, I'm putting in all these deposits of goodness and grace and mercy and compassion, and they're not giving me nothing. That is hard. But like I said, I've done it so many times in my life, and it feels really funny at first because I'm like, I'm a G. And I don't do stuff like this. What I look like telling somebody I'm sorry when they're the ones who messed up? What do I look like trying to fix this mistake when they're the one who made it and blamed it on me? Like, what do I look like? And sometimes we get caught up in that, but listen, don't get caught up in that. You can do this. Put your pride and your ego to the side and identify where you need to have more compassion in your life. Secondly, identify specifically who you need to show more compassion to. So the first one, we're talking about certain situations. You may or may not know the person. It could be, in public. Two, we're getting closer to your inner circle. We're talking about family. We're talking about friends. We're talking about people that you may work with or go to school with every single day. People that you see normally all the time. People that are routine. Find somebody specifically that you think that, I have been a little rough on him, or I have been kind of like annoyed with her. Let me show them some more compassion, because what we never think about when we're kind of rough with people or harsh is how it felt when we needed somebody to show us compassion, how it felt when we needed forgiveness. I never knew how important forgiveness was. And this is a real story. This ain't no quote I read. I never knew how important forgiveness was until I was the one who needed it. And I'm telling you, it wasn't even something that I did intentionally. I caused hurt to someone that was close to me, and it was unintentional hurt. I didn't know that this was going on. I didn't know that I was causing them hurt. Okay. And so when I found out, I felt horrible. And all I could do was beg for their forgiveness. And I was like, gosh, this looks completely wrong on my part. And I don't know how they're ever going to forgive me, but I'm not going to stop asking for it until they do. And it was the worst feeling for me to want forgiveness from somebody and not know if they're going to give it to me, especially when I didn't mean to do it. So just like we have instances where, oh my gosh, I didn't mean to do that. Or, oh, like I said that, but that ain't really what I meant for real. Like it just slipped. Like that's not really what I meant to say. Or you do something and you don't realize that it causes hurt to somebody, or you say something and you don't realize that it sounded a little petty when it came out. You know, it sounded kind of shady and you didn't even mean it like that. We don't realize that we do it so many times, and people have to forgive us and show compassion to us for those things. So when somebody does something to you, I want you to go back to that place. I want you to go back to that place where you needed somebody to forgive you, where you needed somebody to come and pick your head up and say, it's okay. I forgive you. It's going to be all right. I'm okay. We good. Go back to that place and remember that feeling. And I want you to treat people how you wanted to be treated when you were in that position. Remember, nobody is perfect, y'all. Not you, not me, not nobody. Nobody is perfect. And forgiveness is the very best thing that you can give to anybody. And you know why? Because Jesus set the example. And forgiveness was the greatest thing that Jesus ever did for us. That was the greatest thing. He saved every single one of our lives because he loved us so much and he forgave us. So y'all listen, I want y'all to find somebody. I want y'all to do this. You know, don't just listen to it and blow it off. I want y'all to do this. I want y'all to get in there and engage and be active and be disciplined about it. Even the small steps, y'all, is still a step. Okay? So go out there. Listen, don't let bitterness and grudges get the best of you. I know it could be a bittersweet moment. It's like the Sour Patch Kids. You know, first they sour, then they sweet. That's how these situations are. It's going to feel a little sour at first because you're not going to feel like yourself, because I know you a G. But, you know, G's cry too, okay? So do what you need to do. Get your feelings out. Feel how you feel. Have compassion. Show compassion. And forgive this week, okay? Stop canceling people, y'all. Cancel the debt. We're going to see y'all next week for week 3 of the Bittersweet series. Y'all don't forget to click that thumbs up, okay? And smash that subscribe button. Share these videos and come back to see us soon, okay?